Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. In this session, we will discuss about the short-run demand for labor. From the previous discussion, we have established the concept of value of marginal product of labor, and we have seen the formula to compute the value of marginal product of labor. We established also in the discussion before that the decision for firm to hire or lay off workers is based on the position where the level of wage rate W is equal to the value of marginal product of labor. And then the short run demand curve for labor is given by the declining segment of the value of marginal product of labor. Basically, marginal product eventually declines. The short run demand curve for labor is therefore a downward sloping. So if we take this part of the value of marginal product of labor, this is actually the short run demand curve for labor by this particular firm. Given that, let's say the wage rate in the market, remember that the firm is a wage taker. When the wage rate is equal to $22, this firm will employ 8 number of workers. As indicated at this point, the firm would hire 8 number of workers. And if the wage rate falls to $18 over here, then the firm would hire more workers. Now, the firm would hire 9 workers. Joining these 2 points, we can therefore see that there is a negative relationship between the level of the wage rate and the quantity demanded for workers. A decline in the wage rate results in higher demand for worker. So that's one important principle that we have identified here, the negative relationship between the wage rate and the quantity demanded for worker or labor. The position of the short run demand for labor depends on the output price. Remember that value of marginal product is given by this equation, price times marginal product of labor. And since this firm operates in a competitive product market, price level also is given to the firm. Price level is decided by the market. This firm is therefore a price taker. Now, if the price of the product produced by this firm say that goes up, this therefore would make the position of the value of marginal product to shift to the right. So here we say that one factor that would influence the shift in the demand of labor is the change in the price of the output. This is one of the factors that would determine the position of the short run demand for labor. So here, if the price goes up, this will shift the value of marginal product of labor to this position, value of marginal product prime. And if the price of the output goes down, the demand curve for labor would shift to the left. So this is another important concept that we established here. So if we talk about change in the wage rate, such as the wage rate goes down from $22 to $18, we are talking about the change in quantity demanded for labor, and it is shown by the movement along the short run demand for labor. While if we talk about other than the wage rate, such as the price of output in our case here, and if the price of the output goes up, this is shown by the shift in the demand for labor, and this is what we call change in demand for labor. Once we understand the concept of short run demand for labor by a single firm, now let's see the short run demand curve for the industry. There are two figures here. Let's say there are two firms, and we are focusing on the left side diagram first. The left side diagram shows us the case of a single firm, while the right side diagram is in the case of the industry. When the wage rate is at $20, over here, $20, each firm hires 15 workers. Given at this point, each firm therefore would hire 15 workers. Let's say there are firm A and firm B. Firm A would hire 15 workers and firm B also would hire 15 workers. That's the initial position of the market for labor. Say now the wage rate goes down to $10. Over here, the wage rate goes down to $10. And as a consequence of this, what happened is each firm hires 30 workers as indicated here. At this point, firm A would hire 30 workers and firm B would also hire 30 workers. In this situation, if all firms start to expand their production due to the low cost of worker, output in the industry would then increase. And as more outputs are produced in the market, price of that output starts to fall. And since the demand curve for a single firm is also the declining part of the value of marginal product of worker, what happened here is more outputs produced by all firms in the industry would mean a downward pressure on the price of the outputs. And as the output price goes down, it will therefore shift the demand of labor to the left. At the lower wage rate, $10, therefore, each firm would hire 28 workers as indicated here. As the wage rate goes down, then each firm would hire only 28 workers instead of 30. And this is after taken into account the downward movement of the price of the output. As a consequence of this, the industry demand is not the horizontal summation of each firm's demand for labor, but the industry demand for labor takes into account the impacts of the industry's expansion on output price. In this case, after we take into account the impact of the change in the output price, the new industry demand for the labor is indicated by TT. Initially, when the wage rate is at $20, all firms in the industry would hire 30 workers because each of them hires 15 workers. Firm A hires 15 workers as well as firm B. And then there is a reduction in the wage rate to $10. And as a consequence of lower wage rate, firms start to produce more outputs. That creates a downward pressure on the price of the outputs. And as a result of that, lower price of outputs means shift in the demand for labor because the value of marginal product of labor is given by price times marginal product of labor. Now price declines. And we established that after taking into account the effect of the price decrease, each firm would hire only 28 workers. Because of that, when the wage rate goes down to $10, instead of showing the industry demand for labor to be at 60 workers, after we take into account the adjustment in the price level, the industry demand is given by 58 workers. And here we get 2 points. The first point is indicated by point A, and the second point is indicated by point B over here. Combining these 2 points, therefore it gives us the line TT, and this is the industry demand for labor. One important conclusion we draw from this discussion is that it is wrong to do a horizontal summation when you want to construct the industry demand for labor in the industry. That's the key conclusion here. Another important point I want to make here is that when we say the industry demand for labor, actually there are levels of demand for labor. It starts from the firm's demand for labor. and then the industry's demand for labor. The last one is the market demand for labor. Let me give you an example. Let's say the firm that we have is a workshop, car repair workshop. What we need for our labor is, let's say, mechanics. Maybe you need one mechanics or two mechanics. Your shop alone would create the demand for mechanics, car mechanics, to be more specific. And then if we combine all workshops, let's say in that area, that represent the industry demand for mechanics. And we are talking about car repair industry demand for mechanics. There is much higher level of demand for mechanics if we combine many other industries. Let's say not just car repair, but there are also machine repair for mechanics, aviation mechanics, and all sorts of mechanics needed. So that would represent the idea of market for mechanics. So please take note that these three levels, the firm's level, the industry level, and the market level, representing the demand for worker. And another important concept I want to discuss in this session is the elasticity of labor demand in the industry. So this is the general formula how we can compute the elasticity of demand for labor in the industry. It is represented by a percentage change in the level of employment in the industry divided by the percentage change in the wage rate. And we can then deconstruct this general formula into much more detailed break of it. So it is given by change in employment in the short run over the level of employment in the short run divided by change in the wage rate divided by the level of the wage rate. And this formula can further rearranged and we will get the following formula. Change in employment divided by change in wage rate times W over E. If we take an example as shown here, let's say the industry would hire 30 workers when the wage rate is $20 and hires 56 workers if the wage falls to $10. So over here, you need to identify which one is the new level of employment and the old level of employment, as well as the new level of wage rate and the old level of wage rate. And using the above formula and the information that we have here, we can calculate the change in employment as shown here. 56 is the new level of employment minus 30, the previous one. And over here, we use the previous level of employment as the denominator. Unless indicated, you can also use the midpoint level. But over here, we use the original level of employment as our reference. Divide by the change in the wage rate. The new wage rate now is 10 minus 20 divided by 20, and you proceed with the calculation, you will get this negative 1.733. How to interpret the elasticity figure? We ignore the negative sign because this negative sign indicates the downward sloping, the negative relationship between the wage rate and the level of employment. So we only want to take the absolute number here, which is 1.733. And the rules of thumb when we want to interpret the elasticity of demand for labor is when the coefficient is more than 1, it means the labor demand is elastic. If it is less than 1, it is inelastic, and if it is equal to 1, it is unit elastic. So here we get 1.733, which is more than 1. So we can say that the labor demand in this industry is elastic. In other words, firms in the industry, they are sensitive or responsive to the change in the wage rate. A 1% change in the wage rate would result in a change in the level of employment by 1.733%. Because we are talking about a reduction in the wage rate, we can say that a 1% decline in the wage rate results in a 1.733% increase in the level of employment. I think that's all for this time. See you in the next session. Wassalam.